Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jasmine, aka Dasha Jazz, and I talk all about cooking, traveling, and living well here. Today we're in my kitchen and I'm going to show you how to make Suya spice. Suya spice is also called Yaji spice or sometimes Suya pepper. It is a smoky, nutty, fiery seasoning out of West Africa, specifically Nigeria, my father's homeland, and I love using it on just about anything. Suya spice is the iconic flavor of the popular Nigerian street food, suya, which is normally chicken or beef that is marinated in the spice all day long, then grilled and served on skewers, really hot. So good. But I actually use suya on a lot of other things as well. It's delicious on roasted vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, anything that you might kind of push to the side of your plate or maybe not so much enjoy. Put some suya on it, you will like it much more. I also do suya shrimp and other kinds of proteins as well, both on skewer or off. I have done suya spiced lamb as well as baby back ribs in the summertime. I add a little apple for kind of some sweet and spiciness. It is just, and I don't even eat ribs like that, but it's delicious. I have recipes for all of those, by the way, and I will link them for you in the video description in case you're interested. I also have my full blog post for the suya recipe, but today I'm going to be showing you hands-on, step-by-step how to make it. It's easier than you might think, and you probably have most of the ingredients in your pantry already. And before we get into the recipe, stop what you're doing, go ahead and click that red subscribe button, change the color of it, change your life, and make my day. I put out content every single week that you don't want to miss out on, and I would personally love to have you as part of my YouTube family. So go ahead and click that subscribe button, get comfortable. We're going to get into the ingredients next. So there are 8 ingredients involved in making suya or yaji spice. Some of them you could play with just a little bit or add modifications. I'll get into that. The first ingredient is roasted peanuts or groundnut, as it is called in Nigeria. You can use whole ones, split ones, it doesn't matter. We're going to pulse these for a bit in a food processor until they become ground down a bit, but not into a paste, into kind of like a dry, crumbly peanut situation. If you have a peanut allergy or just an aversion for whatever reason, you could try cashew or almonds, but just note that the flavor is not going to be the same. Next, we have some onion powder or granulated onion. Pretty straightforward, no substitution that I would offer for that. Likewise with garlic powder or pulverized granulated garlic granules, whatever you're used to calling them. Both of these are found in the spice aisle typically, or the baking aisle at your grocery store. Next is red pepper, hot pepper, cayenne pepper, also called Cameroonian pepper, variety of names and types, but this is just a spicy ground dried red pepper that you would use for cooking, and I don't know, maybe if you're super adventurous for baking too. Also in the spice aisle or spice section. Next is smoked paprika, one of my favorite spices to work with. It imparts a deep smoky flavor without any other kind of intervention like smoking or grilling the food. In a pinch, you could use non-smoked paprika. There are several different kinds of paprika. There's sweet paprika, there's hot paprika. Just plain old paprika without any qualifiers is probably how we're most used to seeing this referred to in a Western or American grocery store setting. But smoked paprika, that flavor is important. But if you're unable to find it for whatever reason, again, you can try plain paprika. Just note the flavor will not be 100% authentic. Next is some ground ginger. This one, I don't have a substitution for this. You would just need to scrounge up some ground ginger. Thankfully, it is pretty commonly and widely available. And the last spice is white pepper. Now you can see looking at it that it is not actually white, but just think of this in comparison to black pepper, which is probably what you're used to cooking with. This is a lighter color. It has a brighter, almost citrusy flavor in comparison to black pepper. It does still have a little bit of spice, a little bit of kick to it, and I love it. I use it in my jollof rice. I use it actually in my mac and cheese and a few other recipes that I have. Some of them are already here on my channel, but white pepper is what you will want for making suya pepper, yaji spice, whatever you call it. And then the last ingredient are Maggi cubes, also known as bouillon cubes, but with this one, the specific brand that I like is Maggi. It is out of Nigeria. There is Maggi US arm as well. It's widely available in the States at African food stores and more kind of like quote unquote mainstream supermarkets as well. I actually found Maggi at my HEB recently. I store it this way, but it can come in a variety of kinds of packaging. This is a kind of spice or bouillon cube, so we're going to crush it or grind it to get it into powder form like the rest of these spices here, and then add it to the suya or yaji spice blend. So now we're going to prep the Maggi cube or bouillon cube. It comes wrapped, I think, as most kind of spice blocks or spice cubes do, to seal in the freshness and the flavor. They're pretty sturdy. I'm squeezing on this one pretty hard. You probably can't tell, but it's not really bending. So we need 3 of these, about 3 in this recipe. And you might have noticed that there's no salt in this recipe, but suya spice is really an all-inclusive seasoning, kind of like a season-all, so you don't need to add salt. The Maggi cubes have salt in them already. Again, most bouillon cubes have sodium. There are low-sodium Maggi cubes available if you're watching your salt intake. And one benefit of those, in addition to the lower sodium content, is that they crush easily, or more easily. These are fine. I'm able to crush them by hand. You might also want to use a mortar and pestle or that food processor that we use for grinding up the peanut. You can also toss them in there. I have a large highball glass, just a drinking glass, and then I'm going to take the end of a kitchen spoon, and I'm just going to do kind of a makeshift mortar and pestle and crush these. I use a highball glass because it kind of shoots out, and it can, the little pieces that result from you grinding it can wind up all over your counter if you don't use something with kind of higher walls like this. You can see that a little bit is splashing out anyway. Just imagine if I was using a shorter glass, like a rocks glass. You can see there's still some pieces, so I'm going to keep going and I'll speed this up for you. But you want to get the pieces as small as possible, really equal consistency to the ground spices that you're working with for uniformity of flavor and just a consistent experience when you're using this as a seasoning. So it does take a little bit of elbow grease in just a couple of minutes. If you have not been like up on your arm workouts, or maybe you have been up on your arm workouts and you're too worn out to do this, you could also use a little coffee grinder. That will give you the same texture in really probably just about 30 seconds or less. So this is about as far as I go texture-wise. Is that focused? Okay, yeah. This is about as far as I go texture-wise when grinding up the groundnut or peanut, because I don't want to wind up with peanut butter. And if you continue, this will create a bit of a paste, and that's not what you want. You do want it to remain dry, so that you're able to easily mix it with all of the spices. This is honestly the most labor intensive part of making Yaji spice, and as you can see, it is simple. Probably took me under a minute, but I was not actually counting, maybe you were, to grind this up, and then all we have to do next is just mix. So now I have the groundnut that's all ground up into a bowl, and I'm going to use just a dinner spoon, actually the same spoon that I used to scoop the groundnut out of the food processor and show to you for mixing, because we're working in a relatively shallow bowl and I don't want to be kind of flinging it everywhere. This is valuable currency right here. So I'm going to add in the ginger. This is the cayenne pepper, the white pepper, the onion powder, smoked paprika. Get all of that out. And then we're just mixing. The Suya pepper will come together and have a reddish, orangish final color. That is from the abundance of cayenne pepper and smoked paprika. And this is going to be a little grainy because of the peanuts. Like if you wanted a super, super fine texture and consistency, you can use peanut powder, which is normally sold for like inclusion in baking and protein shakes. And oh my goodness, now we're gonna let me forget to add the Maggi. Okay. But yes, peanut powder is normally sold in health food stores, grocery stores, for baking and adding to shakes, smoothies, things like that. And that would give you the peanut flavor that you want in Suya or Yaji spice with a super fine consistency. I don't mind mine this way. It helps you to actually see the flavor, especially when you're working with roasted and smoked meats. I love this on my baby back ribs in the summertime. I don't think I have a video up for those, so maybe I will get one up for you if that's something you would like to see. But I do have a couple of other recipes that use Suya spice already on the channel, and I will link them throughout this video as well as in the description for you, so you can find them easily. But the one thing that you will not get with peanut powder if you use it instead of roasted groundnuts is that roasted element of the flavor. Roasting tends to deepen flavor profile of anything that you do it to, including peanuts or groundnut. So if you use peanut powder, you won't quite get that. That's something you'll be missing out on. It won't taste quite right, but you'll get very close. So I think this is pretty uniform. We don't see like any pockets of different colors. Everything looks like it's vibing and getting along well. So that is really all there is to making Suya spice. I told you it was easy, simple, and with ingredients that you might not know creates such a fire combination. But when they all come together, it is like chef's kiss. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Drop me a note. Let me know what you would like to see next. And again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We want to bring you into my YouTube family, and there's only one way to do that. Last but not least, thank you for watching.